Well, like I said before, I never want to become the guy that starts walking back what he was saying because I like I said, I did say I would not do any think pieces when think pieces are the thing, and here I am getting ready to do a think piece. However, I feel like it's sort of necessary given the circumstance. Yeah, because this is we're gonna go deep today. Pause. I hate, don't mean to be that guy, but we kind of need to get into it. Kind of need to get into it, and cause we got, like I said, we have people who listen to us who may need to get the heads up, like how serious it could be. So, and someone says something. Hold on, let me write this in. Someone did say, this may be the death of trap music, and I'll get into exactly why he said that, and why I sort of kind of agree and disagree. But here we are. I guess, man. I guess. I guess. I guess. All right, y'all. So we're here. Let's get into it. It's been 2 weeks. I'm not gonna play any music. We're just gonna get right into it. Yes, we have a new setup. I am super proud of this setup. It looks nice. It's straight to the point. Gets a little, pizzazz on it. See what happens. We take a little time off. You can kind of get into it. I want to make sure I'm coming in hot on my microphone. Hold on here. Hold on. Well, while I'm getting this set up, Theo, tell me how your week been. How's
The
your week?
week is the week has been interesting. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean?
Had a situation with a car, so I had to get that replaced. So that was a blessing. I said outside of that, school's been going amazing. Finished off my first semester, you know what I'm saying, with the two A's. So that was an incredible situation. It was getting a little testy there with a couple of tests I ran into, but as they say, God made the way, and now we rocking with the 4.0 right now. So we're feeling incredible about that. Going into the summer semester, a little hot, but things are overall moving in the right direction. And other organizations and companies that I'm working with are doing major things in the concept of technology, education, music, etc. Just trying to expand the mindscape that is our culture and do things to a benefit. So overall, my last 2 weeks have been very productive, very blessed, and just overall sound.
That's dope. I So we had to take 2 weeks off. We really had to get some stuff in the back end completed. So me and Theo have been working on this for, like I said, I want to make sure I'm coming in sort of like loud and clear. But um, if you guys have, some of you may, I think some of you guys may have caught this, the podcast, the earlier podcast episode before we started putting it in on DSPs are kind of out of order. Um, we were not aware that even if we have like a numbering system, it'll do it by upload. I don't want to delete it and then re-upload it. So we're gonna keep it as is. So even though you may go from episode 4 to episode 11, which is kind of weird, it's fine. I made the decision that we're gonna keep it as is. The content is there, maybe a little out of order, but the content is there, and that's the most important thing. So we're good. We're officially on all DSPs. That is the podcast app, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart. Am I missing any?
I mean, if we were, what is it? The listen. What is that? We can add that as the web base.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
the
The listen. We got a couple of downloads on the listen app as well. So we out here. We are out here, and like I said, I'm happy. I'm a little rested. I got a lot going on. I will touch base on why we disappeared for a few weeks later, but just want to catch up with y'all. Just want to catch up with you guys and see what's really good. TJ, what's good? T Jizzle, big business. Thanks for tuning in, man. It's good to see
most
you.
definitely.
Shout out to VK. Shout out to the new listeners that are going to be either listening now or tomorrow, whenever. Shout out to John Bonner. He just released an EP not too long ago, and he just got casted as Harpo on Color Purple, not Broadway play, but a play. It's not on Broadway, but it's like a Broadway-ish play. So
Mm,
congrats to him, man. I'm happy to see our listeners really just elevate. Shout out to the Beat Miser as well at iHeartRadio. I'm gonna talk to you, man. We gotta find a way for me and Theo to get on on there and Fox Sports. We're gonna find a way to get this done.
Most
Believe
definitely. And
that.
shout out to everybody who's going to replay this video. And shout out to everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, and reposts on our behalf. We appreciate you rocking with the content.
Yes, sir. All right. This is where again we're gonna lose our pop singers that may listen to us. I know. I know. I said actually, let me take that back. Let me be honest here. So Theo, you and I are analytics guys.
Mhm.
And so I have analytics to prove that no matter what I say on this microphone, people keep listening. I don't know why y'all let me sit here and just I don't know. Maybe I'm not as bad as I thought I was, but apparently
I
you guys
mean,
really like what I say on this microphone.
you got to think about it like this. If you're a good storyteller, you can pretty much say whatever you want. I mean, they've proven that in hip hop already numerous times.
Yeah, um
Unfortunate as it may be. But
yeah, it's interesting because when I look at the episodes where even the content I post on like on Instagram and whatever else, um, but when I look at the analytics of online and like, yo, where do people drop off or whatever else, um, people seem to like it. So, and I know what it is. I know exactly who's watching and who
mhm,
appreciates what we're saying. So I'm not gonna change anything for the moment. I guess I don't need to because it's gonna come out anyway. But
right.
yeah, I'm happy to, like I said, I'm happy to be here. So with that being said,
Drop off for 2 weeks, come back to the wow.
all right. Now I know I said I wasn't gonna do anything pieces. So here I am, May 12th, 2022, Thursday night, doing a think piece. And I first let me say this. Now tonight's episode, it's pretty straightforward, like what it's going to be about, right? This is something that me and Theo touched on a while back. I want to say, what episode was that? See, we're at 31. Oh, I didn't even introduce the podcast. My bad. Hold on. What's going on, everybody? It's your man Hans Nobe, music producer and co-founder of Room 380. I'm in here with my main man, Urban Waves, aka Theo Mackey,
Hey,
and
yo,
we're here another episode of Capitalism and Art. Do I have any horns? Like I said, I'll get that set up. But um, so yeah, tonight's episode, man. Let me just forewarn y'all. I grew up reading Malcolm X's autobiography and learn about Marcus Garvey and Martin Luther King. And then, like, if you ask anyone back in Detroit, my dad was like the Furious Styles for like the neighborhood. That was my dad. If you seen Boys in the Hood, Lawrence Fishburne's character in that movie, that was my father.
that's
Um,
dope.
yeah, just adding about 6 different girlfriends, and that was my dad. So I want to forewarn everyone that the comments I'm going to say on this stuff comes from that place. But first of all, I just want to say prayers for everyone involved. Seriously, um,
Most definitely.
as a father, which is the first time I said that on this podcast, um,
Hold
I
on, you can't roll past that. You gotta let that sit for a second. Two time at that.
so the reason why I was gone for 2 weeks is this. We had our second boy on the 29th. This will be my second child, and yeah, man, just
It's real.
yeah. I don't normally talk about family stuff, so I was trying to
Slide past.
slide past, but thanks, Theo. So now the world knows that I have two kids. It's
I
fine.
mean,
It's cool.
better they find out now before paparazzi try to blow your life up later.
You and a whole bunch of other people been telling me that for the past 2 weeks. That's cool. That is cool. But let's get into let's get him right. So I'm kind of been messing around. So me and Theo, what episode was that, bro? When we spoke about the lyrics.
That's a good question. It has to be about at least 5, 6 back.
Okay. So we said this for a while now, and we said that they were actually going to go forward with it, and here we are with
Hmm.
arguably one of the top, let's say top five rap art, with actually two of the top five, if I'm being honest, right? So yeah, I would say you had the Baby, Lil Baby, Meg, and then you have Gunna and Thug in there, and then Future. As far as that new class, right? I'd still consider
Hmm.
Drake is a vet, and Future is a vet as well, but
Yeah.
his blow was just a little bit later. Um, yeah, here we are with someone dealing with 28 counts of a RICO charge. So for those of you
Mm.
that don't know, and we'll break it down. In fact, I'll actually look up the actual definition of a RICO charge so you guys understand, right? So it is a crime for any person through a pattern of racketeering activity to acquire or maintain any interest in or control of any type of property or business under the Georgia RICO law. All right.
Mm.
So, um,
So I got Capone.
it, all right. So let's get the history. So Theo, go into the history, and we'll do a little back and forth. I don't want to just be the only one talking here because
Ah, you good? You
you're the
good?
expert.
I
Not,
wouldn't say all
well,
that,
yeah, not
but
not on this specifically, but like I don't want like just take the main stage and not give you a place to
no,
talk.
I got you. I mean, a short way of looking at this, historically speaking, is back in those, how do you say, gangster days with
Mobster
mafia.
days.
Yeah, exactly. The mobster and mafia days. You know what I'm saying? Good old 50s and 60s rolling days in New York, et cetera, et cetera. You had a good old Al Capone. Now, don't crucify me on the years of when Al Capone was doing his thing, quote unquote. But in the short side is those who look at the history knew that they could not actually capture Capone on the criminal acts that he was doing.
Right.
So, of course, they said, well, we're going to get this individual off our streets one way or another. And the circumstance that they were dealing with was tax evasion. So he would buy these properties. Now, in this case, Capone's is basically taking properties off of people. People he knock off, take over the property. But the problem was him taking the property wasn't paying the property tax. Thus, him not paying the property tax is what got him locked up. But in that same situation, you had a circumstance developed called RICO, because again, this is an individual at a high level that's not touching anything. So now you have an instance where you can basically assess a whole criminal organization top to bottom, regardless if you're touching the specified work or not,
All right.
specifically because they can catch you on racketeering charges by point of affiliation. So think of this as a large scale way of saying, if you went to the candy store with your friend and your friend stole a sucker, and you just so happened to be there when he stole the sucker, even though you didn't take anything, the police are taking both of you guys down. This
Exactly.
is a large scale of that conversation.
Exactly. So to kind of piggyback off of that, right? Um, how do okay? I'm trying to watch my words here because this is like this one. It's an open case, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna touch base on it lightly. We're not gonna violate any codes or anything like that. It is an open case. We know that they are listening to anything about it from anyone. We're not going to
Mm-hmm.
contribute anything to that, but what I want to do for our listeners is just explain what it is and the gravity of this. And I want to touch base on a tweet that MG the Future had posted up that I was like, it's going to be interesting. We'll get into it here in a second. Um, so the reason why this is such a big case, one, these are two of the biggest superstars in the past. I want to say 2 years since the start of the pandemic. Right, Gun has pretty much
Mm.
ran up the charts. Right, and
Right.
Thug has been killing it. Um,
Since I'm a stoner,
yeah, and so it's not
he took
just
over for what he took over when Rich Homie Quan fell off. Well, I shouldn't say fell off. When Rich Homie Quan's buzz started to die down with the whole him and Future situation around about that same time, Young Thug really started to light up, and it's just he been going since then.
yeah, and shout out to Rich Homie Quan. I forgot what album he released. I want to say 4 years ago or so, but it was really dope. But of course, it didn't have the financial backing of
Right.
that I thought it should have got. But it was really good. But moving on from that, basically, Young Stoner Life, the record label, is getting indicted, and it's with no, sorry, that's 28 counts. I think it's either 28 members or 28 counts. I forgot
Yeah.
what it was
If I,
exactly.
The floating conversation was that there was about roughly 56 charges. He just picked up 7 new charges, is what they're saying in the news right now.
So 56 charges for 28 people involved. Um, so there was a lyric where he allegedly had said something like, "I rented a car. I didn't kill him, but I rented a car, and somebody took care of it." Right now, we do understand that in this genre specifically, that there are a lot of street stories that from a lot of times it's like a combination of fiction as well as reality, because we've heard it before about artists taking these other personas of these other street
Creative
legends,
license,
yeah, and they're telling their stories, but that could still get somebody caught up, and we'll address that another time.
as I said. There's a lot of rappers with a lot of true gangster names or
Yeah,
affiliations and personas. So it's just like,
yeah.
uh,
And so here we are, we're looking at a pretty big case with two superstars, and because of their entourages and what they said in the lyrics, now we're looking at two guys who may spend a long time in jail, right? And so what I want to discuss is not the case, because like I said, I would just want to address this so you understand what we're talking about. I don't want to address the case. What I want to address is how your lyrics can be used against you in a court of law. And we kind of went down a dark rabbit hole in regards to the drill scene up here in New York, because there Chris, our engineer, he sent me a article where Fox News had covered two guys that got shot and killed at a studio that I go to from time to time when I have clients for a specific genre. I won't say the name of the studio because it's already bad business. I'm pretty sure, like, they had already. What's funny is they had already made a post, I want to say 4 months ago, about how they were making sure that the people that came to the studio were safe. And this is a nice studio, by the way. This isn't like some
right.
like this is a nice studio. And here is it that there's two murders that happen right outside um their doors. And so, I don't want to bring any more. I didn't hit up the owner or anything like that. But I already know, like, he's freaking out about that. Um,
But people forget, man, it's the energy. It's like when you go to a club in Miami and
yeah,
it's a really, really super dope club and they play mixed music. You already know in the type of environment they're dealing with, the type of people they're not about to let in per a dress code, specifically because they're not inviting that type of energy in the building. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If there's certain, I don't want to call it stereotypes, but there's certain narratives that you just know when you follow this behavior, this code, this path, as they say, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know what I'm saying? That invite an energy by default. Now, some people argue, well, I mean, if you look at a lot of them cats in Miami, them cats will shoot you in in a floral shirt. It's like true. It's a different culture there. Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but at the same time, we all know across the board, across the country, hell, across the world, what type of behaviors, environments, and circumstances are considered the default natures that if you bring this into your space, there's a chance 50-50 that it could go left. Rather than it be, oh, I'm wearing black Air Forces, ha ha ha, to saggy pants, to various styles of hoodies, to various styles of organizations,
okay.
etc. All
See,
of these behaviors that associate the common sense of an energy. Again, because these are all minor details, but these details are
yeah,
written into the narratives that is the
but
stories that people want to tell.
you're kind of understood, but you're kind of veering off from the point that I'm trying to make. So I just want to just address the lyrics in
Nah, bet.
regards to like the solid dress, and because then you kind of open up the door for like the other conversation, which is if someone walks in with like a fitted hat, a baseball jersey, and some baggy jeans, which is funny to me that we're talking about
I'm gonna
that
say
two
that's a
two on
dad.
two. Right, but to some people that person can come off as threatening. You're just like,
Most
no,
true.
but like we know that, right? So don't want to address that. What I want to touch base on specifically is
The
the
lyrics.
the lyrics, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we know that Jay has been promoting here in New York and lobbying for people to push against that, because and it's a delicate balance. And here's the reason why I want to touch base on it, because on one end it's like, yeah, I feel you. You shouldn't be able to use somebody's lyrics against them in a court of law. It's kind of dumb because, in a sense, it's like someone is being, it's a fictional character or fictional story, quote unquote, allegedly,
Right,
and
allegedly.
and they're just painting this picture for the sake of entertainment. On the
Mm,
other end, there's a part of me that's like, well, you have to be held accountable, because why would you sit there and snitch on yourself? Like I
dry
said,
snitch on yourself,
like
right?
like I said, this drill artist here in the Bronx. I'm not gonna say his name, but he says some stuff that, like I said, I went to a show out in Harlem, and two people that were like, "Nah, that he really did that. He really said it on wax."
Right,
Like
exactly.
I was like, "Yo."
That's a wrap for you.
So
You
it's like
crazy.
so it's in a sense, it's like, okay, so where do we draw the line with this? And like I said, I want to get into like the big that tweet that really got me thinking.
I'm gonna take one from Jay's book and say this ain't a movie, dog. You know what I'm saying? At the
But
end of
is
the
it though?
day,
Because
it not.
if I'm so, if for instance, like if I took, let's say, so there was a hustler back way back in the day from South
Mm,
Park, right,
mm,
back in Houston. If I took his story and I made a moniker and I drew from that,
mm,
right, and I pull those stories to create like this character,
mm,
and then like, let's say for instance, I ran a red light one time because whatever, and I kind
mm,
of mention it in a song. You shouldn't be able to
mm.
use a song, ideally, to say like, oh, this is proof that he ran the red light.
So there's two problems with that with regards to hip hop culture versus a movie. So hip hop culture prides itself on authenticity of the lifestyle you live as a rapper. So you can choose to create this facade, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or in the case of street culture, you can choose to get yourself killed. Because at the end of the day, when you go out here and create this persona, you're putting yourself in the crossfire. Because when you say you're affiliated to said organizations, you've done said things, you put in said work, there are other individuals who in various cities are going to test you in the way of this thing called a robbery. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna run up on you, run up on your homies because you say you about that life. You in they spot. You, as they say, this is what they say is no politicking in the hood. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, these people see that you have what they got. So, excuse me, you have what they want. Correction. So in that situation, they see this big name OG rapper, as they call it, out here lacking. They gonna catch you. And in that situation, if you're not really about that life, you may very well potentially freeze in that situation. And well, you may be on a t-shirt tomorrow because of your lyrics, because you gave them the impression that you are
Yeah.
this.
Okay. So okay. I'm gonna, just for the sake of conversation and argument, I'm gonna push back against that, and I'll tell you why. In a sense of in the sense of I
How many rappers
think
have it happened to, Hans?
that has happened, but you've also had some of those rap. Drake had a gun pulled on him. Drake wasn't talking about shooting nobody.
No, but Drake is affiliated. That's the difference.
Ah,
Drake
no,
is the
no,
money
okay,
guy
okay,
buying affiliation.
no, no, no. Drake got robbed because they knew he had money. They didn't rob
Exactly. He's a money
Drake.
guy.
Yeah, but they didn't rob Drake because he was trying to put on this tough guy persona,
No,
especially at that time.
no. But Drake, but if we talk about who Drake is now, you listen to Drake's lyrics, he'll tell you, I've never done any of this, but none of my brothers can say that same line. They can't candid that point of saying they've never gotten in trouble for X, Y, and Z. We know Drake is proud of who he's affiliated with. And we're not just talking about the Wayne situation.
Yeah,
You know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And we know how deep that really goes. So we ain't gonna speak that one online. But we know what that situation is amongst a lot of rappers. A lot of rappers, even if they didn't come up in that situation, potentially become affiliated with organizations or individuals who are representatives of organizations. And that's the behavior. That's the thing to do when you're a rapper. That's what gives you your credibility when you want to say different things. You know what I'm saying? And that's what gets you caught up in a lot of these cases.
Okay.
So if you create that story, quote unquote, somebody's going to look at you and want to know if it's real. And if you really did come from the streets and they were, for example, building cases on you prior to you blowing up, then in that situation, everything you say in those lyrics, they're potentially going to take as true until proven otherwise.
So
that's how they're coming at it.
So are you? So you are for them getting prosecuted for, or I'm sorry, not just you for. That's extreme. So you are saying like, hey, they need to be held accountable for what they're saying.
So, if you're asking me my stance, I say any and everybody needs to be held accountable for their actions if it comes to that situation. If you out here doing your thing, stand on what you do. It's just like what they say. If you about to take a term sentence, you don't open your mouth about nobody else's situation. You handle your situation. That's accountability in my eyes. I grew up old school in that situation. You stand on what you stand on for your situation. But in that same sense, if you out here telling what you did on a record and a situation come your way and you legitimately did what you did, I'll be honest with you. I pray that the situation works in your favor. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see nobody locked up like no animal.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I wish you get all the help you would need in that instance to be the better person you want to be. Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of these people put themselves in these situations, not because it was the fun thing to do, but because they came up in a situation that wasn't favorable and they figured this is what they needed to do to survive. So I pray that they get the help they need to push forward in a better direction. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, accountability comes for everybody at the end of the day, one direction or another. If you were raised in street culture, you know 3 things. One, you never really get out. That's the truth of the situation. When you get in, you never really get out. At the end of the day, you either gonna come out the situation in a box or you're gonna be behind bars. That's what you taught. That is what you are taught in the old school when you get affiliated. Now, for those who are fortunate enough to find them situations in money, you know what I'm saying, by the grace of an ability that was God given, you know what I'm saying, you start to notice that even though they're rich, they're famous, etc., they're still affiliated. They just don't do missions. They don't necessarily talk about it, but they still have their ties.
Okay. And this is probably gonna sound like a redundant answer because you kind of answered it, but at the same time, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here.
No, I dig.
The reason why I would say maybe not in regards to indicting someone because of their lyrics is that you can talk about what somebody else did and not be affiliated with them, and now you're trying to pin them for that. You know what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying. So for instance, in that particular case, which again we're not going to mention,
no, I got you.
What if you know, person A said like, no, that was person Z, and person Z's no longer here. I was just saying something that he did, and now you got to use all your resources to try to prove that. Right. And I don't know, it opens up. Now, if someone just comes out and says like, yeah, I did it, fine. Like, fine, I can't defend that.
Ask yourself though, when someone pulls you over and they smell weed in your car, it's reasonable suspicion. You know what I'm saying? They like, wait a minute, I think I smell. They could be straight bull skitting. They could have smelled a cigarette and misplaced that thing. But because they now have reasonable suspicion, that's just going to turn up. That's basically what your lyrics are doing. Not your lyrics, but these artists' lyrics. And again, mind you, they're not coming at them at the first album. They're not coming at them at the first verse. These jokers are building cases on their heads. And a lot of these guys are getting cases built against them before they blow up. Yeah. That's just like Bobby Shmurda. They ran in Bobby Shmurda's spot and they caught him with everything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, and thankfully he's free, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that, you know, like I said, I'm just trying to look at it from 2 different angles.
No, I feel you. I mean, definitely get what you're saying. I'm with you on the fact that I don't necessarily want it to be the case, but at the same time, I also don't want our brothers and sisters out here dry snitching on themselves and trying to call it a creative license like we sitting here writing the next J.K. Rowling's book. There's a difference between writing something that's complete fantasy versus writing something that has a moniker
You
of
can't
truth.
you can't say that, you can't say her name on
Oh,
this
you can't say it.
podcast
Oh,
because
without.
she's
Oh,
going
okay.
through something from people from the LGBTQ community who we have people who are from that community who watch us,
True
so you're not
story.
supposed to say that name.
You right. Well,
Shout out, shout out,
redact that one.
and shout out to love to everyone in the LGBTQ community that watches us. I know you using an example. I was playing, but yeah.
Peace and love to everybody,
And I
on
love
every
Chick Fil
side.
A.
Peace and love. I ain't go front. I'm right there with you. I'm
Yeah.
right there with you.
Um. So yeah. So let me pull up a tweet. You can see it, but I don't think the not the fans the
The
listeners,
audience.
the audience can see it. But MG the Future said something that was pretty dope. He says that case may kill trap music, sort of like disco. And I was
I'm with
like,
you on the comments. What killed disco?
I don't know exactly. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
Somebody holler. You can feel it in the air. They petty as hell. Them brought out a B Siegel line. They petty.
But no, um,
Shout out to Beanie on that one
shout
though.
out to Benny. But no, in regards to this, I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Um, he kind of has a point. This case, if they do indict these guys and they convict these guys, right? This could possibly kill trap music because don't forget the reason why "Seen It All" and "Church in These Streets" by Jeezy was Jeezy's like most intimate pieces of work because the statutes of limitations were up, and he was saying stuff. I was like, bro, wait a minute, like
Mm-hmm.
you're not supposed to say that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean that's what made trap music was that they were saying stuff where if you were from a certain region, like you knew, or like, oh, okay, I know what street he's talking about. Like, oh, okay, that's what happened to old buddy. Cause you could catch it, even like, and it's not even just in trap music. It's in a lot of gangster rap. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
even with G funk, like one of my favorite genres. If you go back and listen to some of the things that these people are saying, you're just like, oh, wait a minute, hold up, he's referencing something. Like I
I mean,
remember
technically, you can say you hear it in blues also, just worded in, how do you say, position differently.
country,
Yeah,
country.
those stories are told in a capacity that does not get you in trouble because they're telling it in a way that's what's the word, ambiguous.
Yeah,
But at the same
ambiguous.
time, it's very heart pulling. We know John got killed because of such and such, but it's ambiguous enough to where they're not trying to pull a case on the situation.
So, what are your thoughts on that? Because I'll tell you my stance and what he. Well, let me explain what he really means for the listeners. And so the reason why he's saying that this case may kill trap music is you guys, like I said, like going back to the case with Nicki Minaj and that song she played that had that sample. She played it on her Apple Music radio show, and they tried to sue her. Did she lose that case? Do you remember?
I do not know. We'd have to hit the Google on that one.
Yeah. You may have to look that. Well, I'll look it up later. But anyway, it's like cases like that set precedents,
Precedents.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if they do get these guys on this case, fam, think about all the big time trap artists and just go down the list. That means that because
Mm-hmm.
like he said, like they'll wait 7 years to build a case on you. That's not
Yep.
a problem, and they'll because they're trying to throw everything they can at you to get you off the street
Bingo.
and your people, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and Felita Hicks already told you guys about the industrial prison pipeline. Like eventually y'all gonna believe us, like that's a real thing. But anyway,
Oh, most definitely. But think about it this way: if you got this person who says they're a gangster, and all of a sudden they somehow become a multimillionaire, and their mindset again, I know somebody try to argue race. I'm like, race aside, just from a federal statute, they're probably looking at the situation saying, well, wait a minute, how much more money are they going to be able to flood to the streets? You know what I'm saying? Because they're based on their lyrics, they're not actually leaving the criminal activity alone. Because that's one of the things that they said was not necessarily speaking with regards to the case, but just noting things that would potentially set a precedent, as you said.
right,
They were basically arguing that a bond was denied for said artist due to the belief, we call this cap or not, that if said artist was released, he would have influence in communication with other associated, other known associates and affiliates, in which case activities could be done on his behest. You know what
So
I'm saying? So again, setting that
so
precedent.
yeah. So what that means is, right? I'm gonna go in with what you said. What that means is for the lot of you artists that are listening to us, if there is a trap artist that you are trying to get close to for like a feature or whatever else, they're probably gonna look at you seven different ways, kind of crazy because they don't know. Like and
Mm-hmm.
we kind of already know this. Like if you've been to like any of these shows and gotten to stay, had the pleasure and going backstage, a lot of times you can't get close to that artist. It is not even on some like, oh, we don't want you to possibly harm them. It's just that, fam, we don't know if you went on wire. We don't know this. We don't know what this, like
Mm-hmm.
we get it. Now with this, it's gonna make it even tighter and
Worse.
harder to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying like it's because everyone's already careful, and with this, it's like you can forget it. Like if you weren't one of the ones that they started with, like why would they, you know,
Take example. I mean, even then though, even I mean, there's been plenty of situations where even the ones that you started with, I tell people, I said, bro, I said, if anybody's from Rochester, if anybody lives from or aware of the circumstances that happened in Rochester, New York, they'll tell you out the gate, it'll be your best friend who'll do you the worst way. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like that's a behavior. I love my city to death, but I mean, in the culture amongst the youth, it is known, man. It's like, you know what I mean? People say, man, that's everywhere. It's like, yeah, it's everywhere. I would never deny that. But certain cultural behaviors in certain cities just is bred different. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like them type of situations, the people who being the closest people being your crew, but mess around and be the people who do you in or do you wrong. It's crazy.
Let me bring this home, and then we'll kind of touch base on other stuff, and then we'll get out of here. For my emo culture, drug culture, rap artists that are listening, imagine you release a song. Let's say it gets 25 million plays, right? It's going crazy. You chart, you're all over the indie charts. They got a little article about you in his daily double. You doing your thing. Imagine you are going home and six cop cars pull up to arrest you, and then you find out that the reason why they're trying to convict you is because they're saying that they can use your lyrics about you smoking weed or using like illegal substances, and they're using your lyrics against you to convict you about how you use substances on yourself. Like that's where this can go. And I know that I know I'm the conspiracy theorist between the two of us. But like my mind goes into who's this. You can't tell me that this doesn't open up the possible door of them trying to kill hip hop, because we know it's much like, in a sense, soccer. It's a quote unquote poor man's sport, just like hip hop is a poor man's genre. It doesn't, like Wendy Day said this on the Cheat Code podcast, where she was saying that it's much cheaper to break a street rap artist than it is an R&B singer or a pop singer, because you talking about millions and millions, right? But for hip hop, the reason why it's so many people do is that it doesn't take much. All you need is a microphone, a DAW, and a Gmail account, and you're good as far as getting your music out. And if you're very good, people can repost you, and you can get love and build a career off of that. With this, who to say that for you telling your story of like you've been like, think about it. What if you're just saying like, oh no, I'm not in the street like that, but I want to talk about my environment, right? But who's to say that they can't use your lyrics to go and date somebody else? Like, oh yeah, you were talking about Big Brother, da da da. No. That it's my OG, but it ain't like that. But it's like, well, we were under suspicion he was doing it anyway. We pinned your lyrics against this person. Like that opens the door for this conversation. You know what I mean? So,
True.
for something like that to possibly happen. So,
I mean,
um,
we got to think about it. Like, why is this so widely popular? Anyways, it's the danger. It's the same thing that they say about girls when they want to go date the bad boy.
yeah,
They want to date the danger. They don't want to be hurt by the danger, but they want to be close enough to danger to put their hand on it and say, ah, that's hot. Oh, that's fire. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? That's what people want when they listen to trap artists. When they listen to gangsta artists, they want to say, "Oh man, you was out there doing that. Oh, you a soldier. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you're a real killer. You really out here in these streets. You really putting in work." It's like, but again, we grew up in a culture where when you was in the streets doing missions, this wasn't fun. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, you were doing everything you were doing to get out the streets.
Yeah.
Now, because it's the principle of entertainment and hip hop right now, you know what I'm saying? It's fun for anybody to get up and say they're a trap artist or to say, it's like, bro, you remember when they talk about dope. It's like, I remember when people talked about dope when I was growing up, dope was not weed. I had never heard the reference of dope in reference to weed until I moved to the South.
Oh
You know what I'm
yes,
saying? So it's
I
like
forgot Side
when
of
people,
nothing.
you know, you know what I'm saying. So it's like when that conversation came up, it's like people saying dope. He's like, you really out there moving. We're not talking no 5 years. You talking about you get caught up. You doing 10, 15 easy with the stuff you got on you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this wasn't just for the sake of doing it. This was what the culture was, what you were surrounded behind. And the situation that made it fun was the fast money that you got. But now it's not about the fast money. It's just the principle of entertainment and selling such. So now we got so many people doing it. Now you like, wait a minute, America, we got too many people making too much money off this thing that is supposed to be called criminal activity, criminal elements. What happens when it corrupts the traditional American youth
Yeah,
in a way that's irreparable? You know,
yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah,
It's a narrative.
it's gonna be crazy. Like I said, prayers to everyone involved. Like I said, I hope we find some sort of resolve here, and that's it. That's all I want to touch base on that. One last thing, and then we'll wrap up, man. Tomorrow, he's here. Tomorrow, yeah. Um, for those, like I said, I think I said it like 8, 9 times. Kendrick Lamar album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers drops tomorrow. Before we get out of here, Theo, what are your thoughts? I'm gonna give my think piece, and then we'll wrap up.
No, I tell you like this. After hearing Heart Five, I said it's good to see that Kendrick is definitely gonna still be Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Just a new formally evolved form. You know what I'm saying, of what he previously was from Damn, et cetera, et cetera. It's like this is who he is now. This is the growth space that he's in now. This is the understanding that he is in now. I mean, just in the fact that people are trying to isolate and break down his lyrics, and one of the principal behaviors he's getting upon is the fact that we're hurt people hurting other people. Because you'll hear people talk about like black on black crime and dismiss the concept and the term because of where it came from. And then you have someone who's prominent who doesn't say it specifically in that behavior, but he's speaking to the culture of what is culture and what we're doing. So it's like it's going to bring a whole new circumstance that's technically old, but something that gets dismissed so much to a forefront, and it's going to force you to listen because it's someone you want to listen to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So let me give my prediction, since we are East Coast time, an hour and a half away from the release of Kendrick Lamar's album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. It's been half a decade since he released it. I believe that this album is going to be really dope. I think it's going to be well received. I also think it's going to be controversial in the sense it's going to piss a lot of people off.
I feel like you just named every Kendrick album that's ever came out since Good Kid, Mad City.
But I feel like this is going to be that one that has all of that. What I hear from the Heart Part 5 is not just, oh, it's regular Kendrick. Like, nah, he released that record. First of all, Rob Markman said that it's a possibility this may not even be on the album. So let's start there. But the reason why I really think about the Heart Part 5, I think it's an intro. I think it's an intro to like, hey, to let you know what I'm about to talk about. I don't see Kendrick sounding like he aligns with the hood all the time. I feel like he's going to talk about himself from a 30,000 square foot view, 30,000 view, for a 30,000 foot view. and I feel like he's gonna say some things that was really gonna rub people the wrong way, and I'm here for it. I think
Yeah,
he,
I mean,
I think he's gonna say
so
some stuff.
listen, people got to understand there is truth in the concept of change. The only way we truly change is we have to destroy what exists so we can then decide how to rebuild. But people take the concept of destruction and say, oh, well, that's incredibly negative. Why do we want to destroy, take apart, etc.? What exists right now? But it's like what exists right now is toxic. What exists right now is not beneficial to a culture as a whole, let alone a multitude of cultures. So he's sitting here telling you, like, yo, we're hurting other people, causing other people to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? We're relishing in the pain. Even from a comedic standpoint, if you look at a lot of the comedy now, especially in Black culture, a lot of our comedy is laughing at someone else's pain, and we relish in that concept until it's us.
Yeah,
And then you have a situation like Will Smith where it was him, and we laugh at what people said. We laugh at what was said to Jada until it's not funny anymore, and he go up and slap somebody for whatever circumstance he felt was plausible. Now, of course, he apologized and said that wasn't the action he shouldn't have took. That wasn't the action he should have took. Understandable, but it was what it was in the moment.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like now you want to condemn him, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, when it's your turn, you're going to be upset. You may not necessarily take the action that he took, but you ain't exactly going to be happy honky dory when somebody put your stuff on blast. You know what I'm saying? You just going to have to figure out how to move with it because now people going to be all eyes on you about the situation.
yeah.
And that's just what it is.
But I think this album. I don't think he's gonna be. I think yes. So I agree with you in the sense. Yeah, I think he's going to point out some things, but I also think he's also going to point out things in the sense of he because if you think about it, between the last four albums, I'll even count Untitled. Everything he says has been aligning with the mindset of like, yeah, you feel our pain. But what I get from the Hard Part Five is like he's like, okay, cool. So now let me talk about it and talk about what's wrong with it. I think he's gonna say some stuff that's gonna be wild. I'll be very surprised if everything in this album people just like agrees with like 100%. I feel I know for a fact when we come
There's a
here.
lot of sheep.
I know for a fact when we come here next Thursday, we're gonna at least spend at least 20 minutes dissecting some of the stuff he's saying just for the sake, just to make it fun,
Oh, yeah.
and we're gonna find out like this dude has he has something in the he definitely has something in the chamber for sure, man, for sure, for sure. Yeah, he he he's gonna take it there. I'm telling you now, he's gonna take it there. All right, man. So that is it. That is episode 31. It was good. Especially be going for 2 weeks. I like the new layout. I'm probably gonna add a couple more things to it, make it a bit more interactive. But shout out to T Jizzle. Shout out to hold on, who was it? Cyfred was in here. Who else? Who else? Hold on. Let me check the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, first of all, let's stress that if you're not in the Facebook group, you need to be in the Facebook group, okay? Yeah. But shout out to Cyfred Mitchell. Shout out to uh T Jizzle for tuning in, man. We definitely appreciate it. It was somebody else. I think that's someone's from YouTube. Anyway, thank you once again. Please download that artist checklist. Like I said, there's a lot of value in it. Like I said, we want to make sure you guys know how to register your music so you know how to get paid properly from your old releases as well as the new releases. We are going to start having guests here. There's just a lot of things we're trying to get done. I'm working on an idea. Me and Theo working on an idea that's gonna be very dope that we're gonna do later on in the year, man. I'm excited about it. Yeah, man. That's it. Anything else you wanna add? If you promote Song Trust one more time, see. Oh yeah, we need we need to touch base on that. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna touch base on that because I like what Ditcho's kids. They really trying to throw punches right now. 1 RPM. Y'all need to do something because y'all getting left behind. And send me my damn mechanical royalty check, man. I don't know why y'all taking so long. Anyway, let's go and get out of here, man. It was good. It was fun. It's good seeing you, bro. Yeah, we'll talk to y'all next week. Much love. Peace.